I love it.
Yeah, and I wanted you to know Jackie's on the call.
Jackie Summers, how are you, my friend?
Jackie Summers, man, looking like a rock star as always.
And
What's
and
up, my friend?
Jackie, a shout out to Jackie for making this amazing connection between Scott and Kathy and me and this amazing Outlier circle of trust and community. Thank you so much, my friend.
Listen, here's the truth of the matter. Scott is kind of a gravity well for remarkable human beings. So it would have been a disservice for me not to make sure the two of you knew each other.
You're a
You're a
good man,
wonderful
my
man.
friend. For
I
anyone
do.
who does not know Jackie Summers, Jackie is the creator of the number one
No, 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 no.
most awarded.
Let this be about Hoby. It's not about me.
It will. It will. I'm getting there. Most awarded liqueur in the world. He is amazing. It's called Sorrel. If you haven't tried it, you are missing out. And he's the reason why Dr. Hoby Wedler and I first got together. So, first, let me just thank everybody for joining us today. This is a really, really fun session that we're going to have. So, let me give you a little bit of background. So Dr. Hoby Wedler is a many things: blind scientist, sensory expert, investor, entrepreneur, advocate. And I would add this next one, which is relatively new. I would say he's a social media influencer. This dude's got 290,000 followers on Instagram. I can't figure out how to get 3,000. Um, he's got a PhD in organic chemistry from UCal Davis. He was a Forbes 30 under 30. He's a 40 under 40 from Wine Enthusiast. He won the Champion of Change Award from President Barack Obama. Um, and he's just a spectacular human being. You know, yesterday I looked down at my phone and whose face popped up but Hoby's, and it just instantly, you know, there are people that it instantly brings a smile to your face, and that was the reaction that I had yesterday when Hoby gave me a call. For anyone who's new to a Legend Series call, the format is we do about a 30-minute fireside chat where Hoby and I will just chat a bit, and then we're going to open it up for live Q&A. So if you've got a question, just put in the chat that you've got a question. You don't have to write it out, and then I'll tee you up, and you can ask Dr. Wedler anything that you'd like. But we do have a brand new introduction, so I want to do the introduction. Kathy, hit it.
I don't fit in the box, I was born to stand out. Living life on my terms, I've erased all doubt. With passion in my heart and a spark in my eye, I'm the storm, I'm the lightning cutting through the sky. Welcome to the top where the fearless reign, where the dreamers build what the doubters disdain. I'm fierce, I'm bold, I'm the cream of the crop, audacious and proud. Welcome to the top. Welcome to the top. Bodacious, audacious, no ceiling, no end. Loquacious, vivacious, where legends ascend. An outlier rising, no chains, no block. This is my moment. Welcome to the top.
And we are off with Dr. Hoby Wedler. How are you, my friend?
Oh, Scott, it's so great to be with you. I'm doing great. And you know what? Every day is a good day that we're alive and that we're here on this planet. And I'm just so grateful to be born. I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful to be with you.
Well, I
And I'm
appreciate,
in this
you know,
amazing community.
one of the things that, you know, stood out to me when Jackie introduced us is just this insatiable enthusiasm that you bring to living life and just everything you do. I want to start out by asking you what inspired you to pursue a career in science despite being born, blind since birth?
It's a great question, and I give my parents a ton of credit for this one. They when I was born blind, they didn't know blind people, and they could have taken a couple of different options. They could have wrapped me in bubble wrap and had super low expectations of what I could do and who I could be, and said, "Oh, we need to protect you with all of our might." Or they could have said, "Hey, man, it's your life. Go live it. Take responsibilities. Your life is, whatever you do is what you do, and if you win at something, you deserve the credit. If you fail at it, you deserve the blame." And we have high expectations, and we're never going to lower the bar. And I'm so grateful they took the second option, because it was like, my brother, who's now a partner at Google Capital, which is their big investment firm, and I had the same chores. Maybe they were slightly different activities, but boy, we were held to the same high expectations. And I also need to credit my brother, who's 2 years older than me, at just trailblazing. And I'm like, oh shit, if he can do it, I got to do it too. We got to just go out there and see what we can get done in every way possible. So that was amazing. And another thing that my dad and I did a lot of is, well, all of us as a family, we never hired people to do anything on the house. So our parents taught us, not through words, but through actions, that hard work was absolutely quintessential. And we have a little, it's funny, tangential here. We have a little cabin that's been in the family for 125 years, just south of Lake Tahoe on Fallen Leaf Lake. And the plumbing system is complex. We pull water from the lake. We pull water from a cistern up the hill. And the plumbing system is weird. And when I was 6 years old, I took it upon myself to learn that system with my parents, just backwards and forwards. And now I'm probably one of two people who really, truly understands that system. And anytime anyone opens the cabin and has problems, they call me. And I kind of love it. I know that plumbing system. And I've always kind of loved this idea, and I still do, by the way. I'm a kid for life, is what I say. And like, I'm fascinated and mused by how water gets from one place, to another, and then gets purified and then comes into my tap as beautiful drinking water, like is what beautiful Montana water here in this bottle, and I'm also fascinated by where water goes after we flush it out, and these things drove me to fall in love with connections and science and all these things. And I had an amazing high school physical science teacher, and I just had a knack for chemistry. And when I wanted, she's actually the honors chemistry instructor as well. And when I wanted to take the test, and that was my freshman year of high school, and when I wanted to take the test to get into honors chemistry, she said, "No, this is not right. This is impractical. You shouldn't do it." And I took the test, and I got the high score out of about 120 people. And she said, "Oh, I guess I can't say that anymore." And it was like, hey, I want to work with you to make this stuff come together and figure out how I can become the best student I can be. And that involved finding a great assistant who had taken the class before me, who needed some TA hours anyway. And this wonderful woman helped me through, was my eyes in the laboratory and was my eyes on exams. And I would dictate my answers to her, and she would write out the math just as I said it. And, I did great in that class. But the instructor, was funny, Scott, because the instructor would say, "Oh, chemistry is so impractical for you. It doesn't make sense. I don't think you should pursue this in college." And then she'd get up 20 minutes later and lecture to the class and say, "You all should study chemistry. We live it, we breathe it, we eat it, we drink it. It's everything. Chemistry is everything around us." And that pissed the physicists off, but whatever. And, I thought, I've got to convince her that I can study chemistry as a blind person. And how am I going to do this? And I was 16 years old. My brain I guess wasn't fully developed. It probably still isn't. But I thought, I got an answer. I need to just go talk to her, and I need to be alone. So I remember, and to all the East Coasters, a cold California morning means nothing, but it was a cold California morning at about 39 degrees. And I walked up to her room in the middle of January, the second week of the second semester, at 7 a.m. I knew she would be there prepping for the day, and she was. And I just walked in unannounced. And I said, you told me, and you keep telling me that chemistry is impractical for me to study, but then you tell the class that chemistry is everything. I got to tell you that nobody can see atoms, and chemistry is a cerebral science. And she said, oh, well, I can't really argue with that. So to this day, she's an ally and a supporter and a great friend of mine, and just such a comrade. And we hit it off, and we made chemistry accessible to me. I went to the University of California, Davis, and my whole thing is that it's not about telling people how to teach me and telling them what I need and being militant about it. It's about making friends. That's what life is about. It's telling stories and making friends. And I just made friends with all the people that I needed to make friends with to make chemistry a 100% reality for me. And the department picked up on it and appreciated me. And out of about 75 professors, I can think of 2 that I had who really didn't like having me in class and thought I shouldn't be there and thought a blind person shouldn't study chemistry. And Davis just embraced me. And I tell you, Scott, it wasn't until the second year of my chemistry career, my sophomore year in college, when I realized that my favorite branch of chemistry was organic chemistry, which is by far the most visual branch of chemistry. So why the heck does this blind guy just fall in love head over heels with organic chemistry? And it took me a while to realize that I use the same skills that I use for my survival as a blind traveler when I think about how to get from the distillery where I might work to the local bus stop or the local train station on foot. I use the same mental processes that I use to think about that I use to think about how to do a very complex organic chemistry mechanism where we figure out where electrons go to turn one molecule into another, because it's all spatial. And hashtag nobody can see atoms, that's true. And I couldn't see this stuff myself. My colleagues couldn't see it. And I actually found myself with a huge kind of game-changing advantage as an organic chemist, simply because I visualize stuff. It's all in my mind. And I can think about a town where I know well in meters and kilometers, and I can use the same skills at 2 a.m. when I can't sleep at night because I'm kind of an insomniac, to think through a molecular structure. So when I'm working with Jackie on sorrel and developing those processes and understanding how anthocyanins in hibiscus work to form the color and flavor that we enjoy, it's the same thing as walking down to the train station. And that's what made me fall in love with science. And I once was a scientist, I'm forever a scientist, but now I just want to take my passion and share it with the world as a sensory storyteller and sensory explorer.
Where do you think, if you guys want to listen to a great speech, Hoby gave the commencement address at UC Davis. And in that commencement address, you talked about being a young kid and being fascinated when the garbage truck would come to your house.
Every Thursday,
And
man.
so you're an incredibly curious person, and I think that's an outlier trait. Where does that curiosity come from?
My blindness is a total blessing when it comes to curiosity, because I have the ability to ask questions and really dig deep and try to understand where things originate and how they end up. And that drove me to just be curious about the world, about everything around me. And because I can't see it, I listen to it, I feel it, and I ask questions. And my curiosity, I think some of us are just born with it, and I was born with curiosity. But my curiosity, truth be told, comes from just being a blind person who can't see and wants to understand everything possible about the world.
Incredible. Can you describe, Dr. Wedler is one of the top food scientists out there, and I know, how thrilled Jackie was when he got him on the team at Sorrel. Can you describe the tasting in the dark experience and the impact that it has on participants?
Oh, absolutely. This is one of my favorite things. So, I'll just give a little bit of history here. In 2011, I had a friend who actually became blind in 2009, who's a brilliant architect from Berkeley and Stanford, who designed in 2006 Francis Ford Coppola's winery, and got to know Francis real well. And in 2008, he lost his sight, late 2008. And in 2009, we were at camp together mentoring blind high school students studying STEM. We had 150 blind high school students and about 50 of us mentors. And it was just a really amazing time. And this guy was dealing with blindness and figuring stuff out. I was able to help him a lot. And then in 2011, I got a call saying, hey, Francis Ford Coppola wants to do a completely blind wine tasting at his wineries, because he's a film director. But a lot of people don't know that before he was a film director, he actually learned how to make wine. And that's what gave him a love for sort of this deep connection between art and science. And I have, from a young age, have trained my palate. That was like when I was 7 years old. I was tasting different fruits and different vegetables and different meats and associating the flavor in a lot of different spices. I asked my parents to buy me a spice cabinet at a very young age, and I think I had 775 spices in that by the time I was 10 years old. And it was just like my haven to understand these spices and what they smelled like. So I didn't quite realize what I was doing, but I was training my palate from a very, very early age. And, I got to love wine. Maybe I was 21 when I had my first sip of really good wine. Maybe I was a little younger. And it was the closest thing for me to looking at a beautiful picture. And when I could describe that picture to people, they were just sort of in awe. And it was like, I love this. I love describing this stuff. And I explained this to my friend Chris, who lost his sight. And that's what made Chris think of me immediately when Francis told him he wanted to design this truly blindfolded wine experience and have it led by a blind person. And I got a call from Francis Ford Coppola in mid-2011 when I was finishing up my undergraduate career at Davis, just starting grad school. And he says, do you want to work together? And when Francis Ford Coppola calls you and says, do you want to work together? I don't know about you, but I said yes. And then I hung up the phone and said, what did I just agree to do? But Francis let me take the reins with this. And what I designed was an experience that utilizes a lot of different aromas, base aromas that are in the wines that we're tasting. And the point of that is to really prime people's aromatic vocabularies and get them thinking at a level maybe similar to the way I think about flavor, aroma, and texture. And, a lemon. This is what lemon smells like. This is what oak chips smell like. This is what star anise smells like. This is what vanilla and cardamom and sandalwood smell like. All as individual components. So then we taste wine and we get those components in the wines, maybe one, maybe more of the wines. And it's like, we're not crazy when we say this wine has a lemon aroma or a sandalwood aroma, right? And people just jived with that. And for consumers, it's this amazing opportunity to be like, whoa, I never knew I liked wine this much. And for the trade, it was quickly picked up by Francis Ford Coppola's trade team and what was sales team. What was lucky for me is that my laptop was my laboratory, and I was a computational organic chemist in grad school. And my advisor said, yeah, dude, go forth and conquer. He was an amazingly understanding guy and someone who said, yeah, just do it. Just go out there and see what works. So I traveled a lot while I was in graduate school doing these experiences around the world for Francis Ford Coppola, and realized, oh my gosh, I love telling stories. I've always loved this. I love telling stories and getting people excited about little things in life that maybe they didn't know they were excited about before. And that's led me to a career in product development, in food science, and where I'm able to use my chemistry knowledge every day, but also develop great products and then hopefully explain them to people in a way that makes sense. So we now do tasting in the dark for all sorts of industries. And by the way, it's a really fun and exciting team building exercise for teams that have nothing to do with wine, that just want to experience life, in a way that's a little bit different and in an educational and in very entertaining environment. And it's just like, I've done tastings in the dark for fundraisers. I've done them for big corporate events. I've done them for all sorts of trade avenues around the world, including William Grant, which is a company that makes Glenfiddich and Balvenie Scotch and Hendrick's Gin, among others. We've worked with great chefs like Thomas Keller and Charlie Palmer and the likes of those, helping their restaurant staffs through this experience under blindfold. And I neglected the fact that we blindfold people before the experience, and then we talk about how these products are an art form and what people are smelling and tasting. And there's this amazing light bulb moment that happens when people are under blindfold at a certain point during the experience, and it's different for everybody, where we resonate, we figure out, oh my gosh, people understand I'm doing something totally different. I'm very vulnerable, but I'm able to think and express myself in a way that I never have before. And to me, when I can get people to that level and that state of Zen, if you will, and I'm not a religious man, but I'm a very spiritual man. And if I can get people to that state of understanding through the lens of a food or beverage or even just conversation, I feel like I'm doing really fun work. And that's what I love.
Such a cool thing you do, and I cannot wait to do one of those experiences with you.
Well, let's bring the outliers together in purpose and do it in person and do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. What do you think people often misunderstand about blindness or disability?
That's a really good question. And society I don't feel disabled. I feel like society makes me disabled. So I'm only as disabled as the products and folks who I interact with make me. So my washing machine, for instance, I did all this research, and when I was renting my first place where I could have in-unit washer and dryer, I'm like, okay, these are going to be accessible. And I got these great washer and dryer and figured out that, unfortunately, when I turn on the washer, no matter if it was turned off, it doesn't reset, and it sets to exactly the setting that the person had it on before me. And it's like, okay, but I don't necessarily want to wash my clothes just how they did. And I need to get visual assistance because it's an LED touchscreen to figure out how to get this damn thing to wash my clothes the way that I want to wash it. So I'm not disabled, but my washer makes me disabled in that way. Disability is the scariest minority because it's the one that any of us can join at any time, right? We might be born a certain color. We might be whatever the case may be in terms of other minorities. We might turn our sexuality around in whatever way we want, later in life. That's fine. But disability is this unknown that we all can join whenever our body decides to let us join it. And that's why it's scary to people. And what I find is that nobody is ever discriminating against me. They just don't know how to help. And everybody wants to help, and sometimes it can feel overbearing. But my goal in life is to teach people that blindness is not so bad. I can do things. I travel airports independently using my white cane, and get to hotel rooms. And, I did a trip in 2017 all on my own when I went to Budapest, Hungary to give the keynote speech at a big coffee conference there. And, the taxi driver didn't speak English. I certainly didn't speak Hungarian. And we figured out through Google Translate at its infancy then how to get from where we were to the place I was staying. And it worked out great. We can do whatever we want as long as the attitude is right, Scott. And that's the biggest piece here. For me, if I'm just a positive guy with an attitude that people can relate to, and where I'm just here to show people that, hey, this is all possible, nobody bats an eye. Everything works. And I'll harken back to my chemistry career in graduate school. People thought it wasn't possible. And I would go into my professor's offices all the time and say, your job is to teach me chemistry, and my job is how to teach you how to teach a blind person. And we're going to work together at this and make great things happen. And we're all going to benefit from it. So for me, it's like, you got to have an abundance mindset. You got to have a positive attitude. And if anything feels awkward or like it's not working, just tweak it a little bit and don't get mad at people. This whole thing of getting mad when you don't get what you want and getting frustrated. I mean, we're all human, right? We get frustrated sometimes. Sure, I get frustrated. But if we can channel that energy into figuring out how to make it fun for people to work with us and how to get things done in a really productive way, dude, anything is possible. And that's my whole attitude about life, is that I just have the heart of a teacher. And if someone doesn't understand what I can do or who I am, I show them, and we just get through it. I'll give you one example. I went to work for Jackie with Sorel, and we were working in a huge warehouse with tall ceilings. And the proprietor of the distillery where we co-pack was like, am I going to have to push this guy around in a hand truck? What am I going to have to do? And I just came in and I explained to him exactly how I work. And he's kind of a gruff guy. He's a great man, but a kind of a gruff guy. And he understood me after day one and just embraces me and what I can do because of attitude. And I could have taken that so many different directions. I could have demanded all these accommodations and whatever, but I just work at people's level, man, and life is great.
Your mindset is off the charts. What you've accomplished so much, Hoby. What's something that you're probably proudest of, either as a scientist or as an entrepreneur?
I don't know if there's one particular thing that I'm proud of. I'm just honored whenever I can get people excited about what they do and excited about little things in life that make them happy. This social media following on TikTok, where we have 210,000 followers, and Instagram, where scarily we have 290,000 followers, is like, the comments that I get and the DMs that I get and the emails that I get and the people who I've gotten to know, they have this craving to enjoy the small things in life. And if I can help people find the right mindset and just enjoy these little things, like the taste of a kiwi when they're going about their crazy day, dude, I'm happy. Like, that's the type of stuff that makes me happy. I mean, I'm proud of getting a PhD in chemistry. That was a hell of a lot of work. I'm certainly proud of that. But it's like, I love challenging myself. And when I succeed at a challenge of any kind, I just feel good. It's better than any drug anyone might take, because it's like, whoa, I thought about this. It was hard. It was difficult. It was a challenge. And I put my mind to it, and I broke it into little tiny challenges, like carving steps into a mountain. And we made it possible, and that to me is like, it's getting people excited about little things in life that they didn't know they could be excited about, and taking on challenges and maybe failing and getting right back up when you fail and hopefully succeeding. Those are the things, Scott, that I'm so proud of in life.
Two more questions for me. What advice do you give to those that are facing their own personal or professional barriers?
Yeah, three things. Well, a lot of things. The first big one is just remember that we all are here and we're blessed to be here and we need to make the most of it. And you got to live every day like it's your last, because who knows what the heck's going to happen. I could walk out in a half an hour and get hit by a bus. I hope that doesn't happen, but it could happen. And I take that risk every day when I walk around. And there's all sorts of things that could end our life at any time. And I want to make sure that I've lived the richest and most exciting life I could live throughout everything, despite whatever. And that's sort of what I do. But the three things that I love to live by are the following. Number one, we as humans are enough. What you do, as long as you deliver your personal best and look at the person in the mirror at the end of the day, now I'm lucky because I can't see much when I look in the mirror, you got to say, I've done enough. I've done my personal best. And if you do your personal best, you are enough. That is enough, right? The second one is that we are not alone. For me, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know and the connections we can make, right? So we're not alone in this world, and we need to find the people who can mentor us or empower us to be the best people we can possibly be. And the third bit of that is that every one of us is amazing in our own right. All I want you to do, and this, if you do nothing else, and I know I have a lot of you to respond to on LinkedIn. I'm sorry I haven't done that yet. I want to get to know each and every one of you because people are everything. But I want you to define your superpowers. And what is it that you are really good at? Because we are all really good at something. And when you find that superpower, just hone in on it. So remember, if I tell you nothing else today, the three things I want you to leave with are that you are enough, you are not alone, and you, each and every one of you on the screen, who I can't see but I know is here, are truly amazing. And if you find those superpowers and sink your teeth into them and live with them and embrace them and love them like the best romantic partner in your life, you will achieve amazing things.
Man, so good. That's a mic drop there. One last question from me, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A from everybody here. When you look ahead, the world is really kind of your oyster. What experiences are you most excited to share next?
For the past 10 years, Scott, I have wanted to launch a YouTube channel, a YouTube show, or a show on more major television, on streaming platforms, on whatever, where I explore the world and get to know people and travel. And we basically talk about travel and culture, always using food and drink as a lens. And when I got to 50,000 followers on Instagram, I had 7,500 followers on April 11th, 50,000 followers on April 17th, and now whatever we have. It was like, I'm going to do this. And I'm not going to stop developing products and doing things that I love and continuing to design experiences like tasting in the dark all over for whoever. And that's not stopping. But I said, I need to get out there and do this long form content about travel and culture through the lens of food and drink. And I'm doing it, man. I'm looking for investors to make this happen. I'm looking for sponsors of the channel. But I just went on June 30th. I went for my first time and hunted morel mushrooms. And that was the promo piece that we're still editing. We're going to meet with amazing chefs and do a tasting in the dark and do some amazing cooking in California in September. I'm in Oahu in 2 weeks, and I've never been to Oahu. I've been to some Hawaiian Islands, but I've never been to Oahu. We're connecting with chefs, and we're going to put together a pilot episode there. And in October, just because I love meeting people, and this is all through Instagram, Scott, I met a man named Joe Doherty, who I call the Matsutake Mushroom Master. We're going to Oregon. We're going to harvest matsutakes and go to the camps where pickers are bringing their mushrooms in and buyers are buying these mushrooms to bring right into Japan, because 90% of the US crop of matsutakes goes to Japan. And we're going to tell the story of these great people. And if I die tomorrow, if I feel like if I've been able to get people to see what amazing people in the world are doing, man, I'm a happy camper. And if I can design products that are really delicious and then help marketing teams understand what I've done and really popularize my science, that's what I love doing. I love going into the lab and being a nerd and doing hardcore research. But what I love even more, Scott, is making everything that I do accessible and approachable and desirable to everybody else out there. And that's my dream. And I know it sounds cliched, it sounds stupid, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I can leave this world a little bit of a better place than I left it and create happiness in people, that's my dream. That's what I want to do. I can't say it any other way.
Your dream is coming true, man. You make me happy. Every conversation we ever have lights me up like you wouldn't believe. Your enthusiasm and passion just emanates out of you. Are you ready for some questions from our community?
Well, I would love some questions, but I want to just say one more thing, which is that I really deeply want to get to know each and every one of you. Don't be strangers. Reach out to me and just connect. And if there's anything I can do for anyone on this call and anyone in the community, I'm here. And we're in this together. We're not alone. Remember, we're enough. We're not alone. And we are all amazing. Let's do some questions.
All right. Jared in Philadelphia, you're up.
Dr. Hoby, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your experiences on this call. Very cool stuff. I have a good friend who works with an organization in Philadelphia. They're called Philadelphia Blind Hockey. And they had this great idea where they're introducing blind people to playing the wonderful sport of ice hockey. There's obviously a lot of challenges that go along with that. And I can't think of a better person to ask. Do you have any advice to share with the people who are in that program for the first couple times hitting the ice who might be scared or hesitant?
Be careful. Go out there. Jared, first of all, it's great to meet you. And I love the city of brotherly love. You live in a great place. And it's an honor to meet you. The stick is your cane. And just remembering that you're out there, and a lot of times when blind hockey player, I don't know much about blind hockey, but the puck I think has a bell on it. So you just listen for that bell and you just go out there and do what you can and deliver your best in every possible situation. And if you give it your all and feel like you're doing your thing and maybe slip on the ice and fall down, just get back up. It's just like any other challenge that you might take, and just go out there and do it. Go out there and try it. If it's for you, you'll love it. If it's not for you, you'll know right away. And that's the bottom line. Just get out there and do it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Jared, thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Likewise.
We're going to Portugal. Helen, you're up.
Helen, I know I need to respond to you on LinkedIn. I'm sorry. I will get back to you.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I don't think I messaged you on LinkedIn. I hope my connection is okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So I have questions. It's not really. What was the most fundamental lesson you gave your chemistry teacher to help you in school?
What was the most important lesson or tip she taught me? I missed a little bit of that.
You broke up a little bit,
No,
Helen.
no, you taught her because you said you taught your teacher.
Oh,
You know,
because you were saying you taught your
Yeah, I feel
teacher
so
how to
good today.
teach a blind man.
I don't know what's going on.
I was able to show her. That's a great question, Helen, and thank you. I was able to
Yes.
help her understand that truly anything is possible despite what people might say. So people say, oh, blindness is an issue, or autism an issue. I was able to say, let's just take that away and think about the science and study the science. And for me, it was explaining to her that nobody can see atoms, that really put her in that mindset. And if you want to talk about life lessons, just expanding on, away from chemistry a little bit, the most important thing that I know is that if I don't do it, if I want something so bad, if I don't do it, it won't happen. So I have to work hard. So when everybody says, how have you done what you've done? And I say, I don't know what I've done. I just work hard. And if anyone wants to achieve their biggest dreams and their biggest successes, I'm sorry, this might be harsh advice, but work harder.
It's great advice. It is great advice. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I have another question.
Well,
Thank you so much. Can I ask you another question? Or it's more kind of a comment?
No, you can. We're just you're breaking up a little bit.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to know if you're familiar with the movie Superhuman, The Invisible Made Visible. Or maybe Kathy can ask it.
Yeah, I have it here. She says, are you familiar with the movie Superhuman, The Invisible Made Visible? Very interesting, where they show how they teach children to see from their cells. They cover their eyes and they can see.
I do know that movie, and I love that. Yeah. And it's how I live life. It's like, if you don't have one sense, you figure out how to use your others, and you just do it. So that movie has a good message. Helen, I love your country. I love the food there. I love Portugal. You're blessed to be there.
We're going to California, your home state, Kimberly Arnold.
Dr. Hoby, it's great to meet you.
Kimberly, pleasure.
I sent you a connect request on LinkedIn. I'm right in San Rafael, California, so
I'm 10 miles north of you in Petaluma.
Well, there you go. So we have every good reason to get together when you're back in town.
We need to do it.
And I had commented in the chat. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a restaurant in San Francisco called Opaque.
Yep.
Which I remember going with my family to. And so for anyone else, it was a dine in the dark experience. And I remember when we first went in to the total darkness, I actually started to have a panic attack. And it was coming from that I wasn't in control of my vision suddenly disappearing. And I had to step back out and close my eyes and walk in with my hand on somebody's shoulder and then choose to open my eyes in the dark in order to settle myself. It was a fascinating experience, I'll just say.
That's fascinating.
But it's kind of related to what I was going to ask you, which is, so the work that I do is teaching teams. It's kind of like physical therapy for your nervous system. I teach them 60-second resets to reclaim their calm and confidence and sense of connection. And I was curious because so much I think of seeing people who have vision, we cue a lot off of our mirror neurons from what we see. Yeah. But I was curious for you, to what extent, because I'm imagining those are still active for you, but just through your other senses. Yeah. So I was kind of curious about that, was part one. And then part two was, I'm also curious if maybe people who don't have vision actually maybe don't, in a way, maybe don't have as much anxiety because their other senses are so heightened. So those are my two curiosities.
Those are great questions, Kimberly. Thank you so much. And to answer part one, I think that I do have those same, I get anxiety, I need to reset myself all the time. But I think that for me, as someone who was born blind, I don't know what it's like to have vision. So I don't quite know how to make those synapses happen in any other way than I do. But what I do find is that when I throw a blindfold on people, they enter this state of calm that is unlike anything they've done before. And they forget about their phones, and they turn off those distractions. And what I would say to that is that eyesight is what we use to take in 85 to 90% of our surroundings, which means that when we have 4 additional perfectly good senses, we typically only use them to take in 10 to 15% of our surroundings. So when we can turn off that eyesight for a minute, what ends up happening is people end up really deepening their sort of understanding, because they're not distracted by, oh, what facial expression am I making? How are people judging me right now? How do I look? It's not that level, right? So these visual distractions get turned off, and people are able to home in on what they know. And to answer part 2 of your question, I hope I answered part 1 sufficiently.
Yes, beautifully.
To answer part 2, I would say, I don't know. I don't think my other senses are heightened. And I know a lot of blind people who don't like tasting stuff like I do at all. I'm kind of the only one that I know that does what I do. But I just use my other senses differently. So when I need to cross a busy street, and not get run over, I rely on listening to traffic. And you might imagine how electric cars impede that. But it really is not, I don't have better hearing than you. I truly believe that. I just have learned how to use it differently, right? So it's all about training your mind how to do things one way versus another.
Yeah, no, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I look forward to connecting when you're back in town.
Let's meet up for a drink.
Connect through LinkedIn. Let's do it. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Can't wait, Kimberly. I can't wait.
My man, Jackie Summers.
So first, I'm going to say 2 things, but then I'm going to ask a question that I think will be useful. The first is, Hoby Wedler has one of the best senses of humor of anyone I've ever met. So let me tell you, he's fucking hilarious when you get a chance to just hang out. The second thing I want to say is, if there are public speakers on this call, and I believe they are, as a public speaker, I learned one of the best lessons I ever learned from working with Dr. Wedler, because when I went through my public speaking training, I was taught gestures are important. You have to get people involved so that they see that you are emotional about this. And what you find working with Dr. Wedler is it's useless if your audience is blind. Hoby does something incredible, and I know this because I presented with him and closed my eyes when he talks. Hoby gestures with his voice. If you close your eyes, you can hear when he's shaking his fists. You can hear when he's waving his hands. He does something incredible that does not require sight. And this leads into my question. As a sighted person, all of us, we develop these senses, I believe, in a response to our need to preserve our safety. Things like being able to recognize patterns in the dark, or being able to tell the direction of sounds, or to taste if something might be poisonous. These are all things that, again, I'd love your opinion on, Hoby, that we developed because of a need for safety. What I'd like to know from you is, what are all of the things that you actually catch that people miss because they're dependent on eyesight?
It's a great question. And it's all, for me, it's all in aroma. It's all about if I'm walking through nature, or I'm interacting with anything, I know whether I want to interact with it and smell or taste it just by its smell, you know. So like something that might be a poisonous plant might look a really bright color or a really dank color that you know, oh, I don't want to go there. It's probably going to smell or taste that same way, and you're going to really quickly veer away from it. So our other senses tell us all that information. And there are amazing audio cues too, especially when dealing with interpersonal relationships, that I think a lot of sighted people don't pick up on. When I'm in person with people and someone doesn't look at me, they don't think it's necessary. I know they're not looking at me, and I know they're disengaged. I can tell when people are looking down at their phone. I can hear their voice move. I can hear their concentration change. And these things are things that we don't often think about, because again, we use our eyesight for 85 to 90% of our to take in information from our surroundings. So those other little cues are things that I have to be really sensitive about. So I'll give you a tip. When I take sales calls, I always do them not on video, because I want to be at the same playing field as everybody else. And people find that disconcerting or disingenuous. This guy doesn't care. He's not on video. What's the deal? No, I want you to hear my voice, and I'm going to listen to your voice, and we're going to get through this together. And we're going to figure out where our values are and where our boundaries are, you know, and it's all about listening and understanding when it comes to people. And when it comes to life, it's all about smelling things and tasting them. You might pull a container out of the fridge and take the lid off and say, oh, geez, that's green, that's moldy. I have to smell that. And my body immediately knows, yeah, no, don't go there. It's a really interesting question that you ask, because I think that a lot of times we are blinded by our eyesight. We don't use it for what it could be used for, and we use it so much for other things that it takes away from our life experience and what we can pull out of life itself. And I just need to thank you, Jackie, for being such an amazing mentor to me, for believing in me and bringing me on your team. And that has just opened up so many opportunities. It's just unreal. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Love you guys both. You guys are unbelievable. We are going to Colonel Scott Heathman.
Hey, good afternoon, Dr. Hoby. It's a pleasure to meet you.
What an honor. And thank you for your service, my friend.
No, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I married a woman who was a deaf educator for many years, and we've talked a lot about some misconceptions about accessibility as it pertains to the deaf community.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about, just in your general view, what are some of the biggest misconceptions, you know, about people, their accessibility and using assistive devices or even new technologies? I mean, these things that, you know, you see people have a misunderstanding of?
It's a great question, Colonel. Thank you. You know, the biggest misconceptions of blindness are things that you might not think about. So when I walk into a room, people don't get the sense that I have an understanding of what's going on, and they explain things that are they're minuscule to me. What color the carpet is, what color the chandeliers are. I definitely ask questions about that. I want to know that stuff, but they think that that's paramount to my experience. And truthfully, when I'm in a room with other people, it's those people that I'm around that's so important to me. One of the more obvious ones is that, you know, when I travel by myself, everybody thinks I need a lot more help than I do, and I have to educate them and say, hey, no, let me just hold your arm. I don't need to sit in the wheelchair in the airport. You know, you can walk with me. My legs work, I just can't see. And they want me in a wheelchair so they can just push me wherever they want, and not concern themselves with having to give directional support as I'm walking. It's easier for them. And when I explain it and we work together, these people really begin to gain an understanding of what's possible and how I can do things that they might not think of. So that's a misconception. Another interesting one is that I can't tell what a space is like. So I was being picked up from a convention that I was speaking at, and I'm sure that the people who invited me told the car service that I was blind, and they came in this filthy car with dirty champagne glasses all over and crumbs on the seats and stuff. It's like, oh, I don't have to clean this car because he's blind. Well, if these guys are paying for this car service, I can tell what's going on, and like, just because I'm blind, it doesn't mean that I don't have a really good understanding of my surroundings.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. All right, Melanie Fox in New York.
Melanie, how are you?
I'm great, and you're so cool, Dr. Hoby, and you're a chemist. I think you're the coolest chemist I've ever met, and I have two PhD chemists in the family, so don't tell them I said that.
You're sweet to say that.
So, but I had a sort of comment and a question for you. So I personally had a few years ago, my immune system decided to eat my nerves, and I had to relearn how to walk and use my face again. And I realized that on my journey, I found that people who they did not sort of want to recognize a disability that wasn't one of the categories that they knew. Even doctors said, no, you can't have help. You're not disabled. You're not in a wheelchair. I'm like, well, I have a disability, but it's just not one of the bigger ones or the better known ones. And I also wound up meeting a lot of folks from an organization called Disability In, which is a fabulous organization that helps disability-owned businesses. And what I sort of started to realize there was people who have disabilities that were from birth seem to be much more equipped to handle them than people who develop the disability later on in life. And I was curious, from your perspective of meeting people and from all the followers you have, you must have gotten to know a lot of people from differently abled. Do you find that it's mindset or skill, or what tends to sort of, I mean, do you feel like that people who develop the disability later in life are at a bigger disadvantage, and what do you think the challenges are for them and that are different, and how might you advise them to better adapt?
It's a great question, and it harkens back to what I was saying about this fear of disability, because it's this minority group that any of us can join at any time our body decides to do that. And I definitely, I know a lot of people who have lost their sight later in life, and it's really hard to cope with because they know life that is one way, and now they have to totally relearn the world, just like you had to relearn to walk and relearn how to use the muscles in your face. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, it's really hard when you know one thing and you have to shift it to understand others. And the advice that I would give is just try to take it on like any challenge you've ever taken on in life, like getting through high school, getting through college, wherever you may be. This is just another challenge. It's not a defining factor of who you are. My blindness does not define me. I am Dr. Hoby. I happen to be blind, but that's it. That's who I am. And your disability is not what defines you. It is just a trait that you have. So my blindness to me is just like having brown eyes or having blue eyes or whatever. It's just something that there is about me. And I think that's really hard to absorb and really take in when you become disabled later in life. So I feel very honored that I was born totally blind. And people often ask me, there's technologies out there and maybe they'll work for me, maybe they won't, where you could regenerate your sight. Is that something you want to do? And I just say, hell no, because I don't want to have to relearn the world. I know the world very well in my way. And gaining my sight would be like gaining a disability. And not that I'm opposed to it, it would just be a challenge, but I just don't need to do it.
What an unbelievable perspective. This has been an incredible hour, and I don't know that I've ever said this before. I can't wait to watch the replay on this one, because sometimes I'm so involved in the questions and things like that I feel like I'm not fully present in listening to everything. But this was absolutely unbelievable. Thank you so much, my friend. I can't wait for our next conversation. I can't wait for some in-person stuff. Guys, support Dr. Hoby. Follow him on Instagram. You will be absolutely blown away. And Dr. Hoby, just thank you for joining us and carving out the time. It means the world to me.
Well, Scott, right back at you. It means the world to me. And I feel so excited and invigorated by this incredible community that we have here. And anything that I can do to support anyone, I'm here. Don't be strangers. Please get to know. Please reach out anytime and every time. And remember, you're enough. You're not alone. You're all amazing. Don't ever forget it.
Enjoy your travels, my friend. Enjoy
Thanks,
the rest